Zainal, and believe it or not, we are way past way mark into 2020, where COVID-19, the pandemic, made its first appearance. And I know it has been super crazy. It has been a roller coaster ride for everybody, not just in Malaysia, but everywhere around the world. I mean, come on. Everyone's crazy about the whole COVID-19. People are free to go out. The isolation, the paranoia, the uncertainty, and of course, trying to get into the new norm. It's all crazy. And I'm pretty sure I can say most of us have had our psychological well being impacted in so many ways. And of course, we're not just talking about us personally in our work life, and we're also talking about the students. I mean, imagine the students and their families. Every day they have to sit at home, when on normal days they would go out to the universities to study, and staying at home having to look at each other. That also, I mean, I know you love each other and whatnot, but I cannot imagine what my siblings are going through. I know, they have to sit there every 5 to 10 minutes, knowing that I am the most or the better looking sibling. I really feel sorry for them. But that's life. What can we do about it, right? So, and with all of that going on, we also realized that in Malaysia, just as we thought that we are about to get out of the blue or out of the deep, suddenly, bam, COVID-19 scares us with more numbers coming up, more cases coming up. And that just enforces the fact that there is no certainty in the world, at least when it comes to COVID-19, the pandemic, of course. So right now, I have three very special guests who will be joining us today, talking about psychological effects of COVID-19 on students and parents. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please give it up to our three very special guests. First up, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Anna Sedda, Associate Professor in Psychology and Deputy Director of Learning and Teaching, School of Social Sciences, Heriot-Watt University, UK. Ooh, how are you, Dr. Anna?
Hello.
Next up, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Dr. Kirin Hilliar, Assistant Professor at the Psychology Department of the School of Social Sciences, Heriot-Watt University, Dubai.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Zuhrah Beevi, Assistant Professor at the Psychology Department of the School of Social Sciences, Heriot-Watt University, Malaysia. Ladies, it's a pleasure, and it's really exciting to have three psychologists here with me. At the same time, I'm very scared because I'm sure all three of you are really weird right now, right?
Yes, you should be scared.
Oh, no. Well, I hope it's a good assessment after all this is done. All right, ladies, thank you once again. Okay, so why don't we just get right into it, yeah? Maybe all of you can give us an overview of the COVID-19 and where you're from, the situation in respective of you, Dr. Anna, in the UK, Dr. Kirin in Dubai, and of course, Dr. Zuhrah in Malaysia. Perhaps we could start with Dr. Anna.
Yes, so in the UK, and specifically I'm dialing in from Scotland, the situation is similar to Malaysia, I would say. We thought we were out of it, we thought that things were improving, so we opened restaurants, people could go to the parks, and nowadays we are seeing a bit of a rise in the cases. So just yesterday, Aberdeen, which is a city 3 hours from Edinburgh, went into lockdown again. So the poor people are again in the house. They cannot go and eat pizza at the restaurant, and that's for 2 weeks. So I would say that in the UK, the situation has improved compared to April. But I agree with you that we still have some uncertainty to deal with.
Yeah, I do get that, like you said, in Malaysia as well. You get everyone getting so excited about the fact that, okay, we're going to beat this. And then suddenly it comes back. And I do know that a lot of people somehow forget that we are in this era where the pandemic is not going to go away anytime soon. What about with the situation in Dubai, Dr. Kirin?
Yeah, Dubai, I think, is looking pretty positive compared to some other parts of the world in that we're seeing our numbers steadily declining. So we reached a peak of maybe 900 positive cases a day, and that would have been in May. And now we're getting to around 160 positive cases a day. We're having days where there haven't been any deaths. I think the UAE did a good job in implementing restrictions very quickly and quite intensively. And we've still got those in place. So if you go to the malls, everyone's wearing masks. You have your temperature checked when you go in. There's restrictions on the number of people that are allowed in any store. We still have some venues that are closed, like bars and some venues like that. So it's still very in your face in terms of those reminders that we still need to be mindful of all of this. And I work in a psychology clinic part-time as well. So when I see clients face-to-face, I'm wearing a mask and I'm wearing gloves and they're wearing masks as well. So it's still very obvious that it's something that we're mindful of doing, but it's all moving in the right direction. Yeah, so that's pretty good. But it'll be interesting to see how things go as we start to move into like schools and universities reopening. So we're waiting from directives from governments here in terms of what that's going to look like for our university, for example, which is why, we're doing responsive blended learning so we can adapt as things move. But yeah, it's been pretty good.
Good to know. I mean, the fact that everyone is taking it positively and it's improving. Now, Dr. Zuhrah, coming closer to home now, what is your opinion on the COVID-19 here in Malaysia? I mean, we were also excited about that. Okay, finally we're going to have our normal lives back.
we
And
did.
then, bye.
Yeah, when the Prime Minister said, okay, by 31st of August, we will end the movement control order, so everything will go back to normal. And then suddenly, a few weeks ago, I think maybe two weeks ago, cases started to go up because people think that it's over. So they become callous and not protecting themselves. So, and then the cases started moving up and people started panicking. But yesterday, the cases had gone down to about single case, and we are hoping that by end of this month, everything will be okay. If everyone, followed all the guidelines given by the government. Yeah.
Yes, and as annoying as it may be, having to tell people over and over again, but I think at this time it is crucial to be reminded every single day on the
Yes.
SOPs and the guidelines on what we need to do every single day. It feels like you're a child again. It's like, no, you cannot do this. Oh, you must eat your vegetables at this time,
Yeah.
So, knowing the fact that the COVID-19 is not going to go anywhere, and this is obviously will impact the psychological well-being of every person, and please, maybe you can explain to us what well-being entails from a psychological perspective, Dr. Anna.
It's always me first. I feel like the student who is always asked to respond to the difficult questions. No, I'm joking. Well-being, I agree. I think we all agree it's an important part of psychology. I would say it's a core concept for us. It's something that without well-being, you don't have human beings. You have something else, I think. And psychological well-being is related to mental health, to the sense of purpose that we have in life, and to the relationships that we have with others. So you can immediately understand how much the current situation has impacted on it. I would also like to add that there is no psychological well-being without physical well-being. So one of the risks that I see in trying to define well-being is that maybe we define it too much because there are so many nuances, so many differences between people. So I think we need to be careful. I don't think my well-being is the same as Kirin and Zuhrah. So, for instance, I like knitting. I decided that my purpose in life is to create scarves with wool. I'm not sure it's the same purpose in life that you also have. So well-being is really a complex concept that encompasses several areas of our life.
That is very interesting. I like how you say that without well-being, you are not a human being. And I also heard about something you said, when you learn psychology, you have superpowers. And I like the fact that how you like have all these little analogies to everything. And I do agree, when you do know something about psychology, you take extra precautions and you look after yourself slightly more than other people, because you know how it will affect you personally, like you said, with having a psychological well-being should go hand in hand with physical well-being too. Maybe Dr. Kirin, you would like to add to what Dr. Anna said, what entails, the well-being itself entails from a psychological perspective.
Yeah, I would agree that it's important to look at well-being in a holistic sense. So Anna talked about like physical well-being, and then there's also emotional well-being, your cognitive well-being, interpersonal, what your relationships are going at the moment, occupationally, how satisfied you are with your job and your career, spiritually, recreationally. So all of these different parts come together. So I like to think of well-being as all of these different cogs in a machine, and there's going to be occasions where you're not going to take as much care of one element maybe as much as you would like. So if your work is very stressful at the moment, maybe your diet falls apart a little bit because you're eating a lot of takeout. But your body can cope with that when it's a short-term thing. So it's, the cog is a little worn, but you'll get to it and you'll clean it and you'll replace that. But if you leave it for too long and it starts to get neglected, then as soon as that singular cog starts to break down, then it's going to affect the entire functioning of that whole machine. I also like Anna's point where everybody's idea of what their well-being is and what's important for them individually is going to vary a lot. So while we have these broad categories of areas that we need to look at in terms of what's important to you, so if we're thinking about physical health and the exercise that people do, there's going to be people who enjoy yoga and there's going to be people who enjoy marathons. I certainly do not enjoy marathons, but I enjoy yoga and I enjoy swimming. So doing a marathon would just not add to my well-being. It would detract from my well-being. And so it's being mindful of that as well, because I've certainly got clients where, yes, some people are very stressed and anxious given COVID, but I also have clients I had one yesterday who was saying COVID was the best thing that's happened to me because I am able to manage my work a lot more effectively. I'm not interacting with certain colleagues who I find really quite stressful when I do have to work directly with them. And then some of those people can actually feel a bit guilty about, well, I'm coping with this quite well, but I feel bad telling people that because they're not coping. So it's normalizing that no, depending on your personality and a range of other things, people are going to react differently to what we are dealing with at the moment, and that's okay.
Yes. Also understanding that you are different from everybody, that, like you said, everyone has different ways of coping, have a different coping mechanism when it comes to stress and dealing with anything that's bringing you negativity to your system and to your aura. So when we talk about the students and parents themselves, maybe Dr. Zuhrah can tell us what are the effects the students and parents in particular can actually have if their psychological mental well-being is impacted, especially when we're talking about these trying times during COVID-19.
Okay, let's look at it in two ways. One way is when the students have to stay away from home. So during COVID-19, where they aren't able to go out, they may be staying alone in the hostel room. So that would create a sense of isolation, a sense of anxiety, and also it creates a sense of anxiety among the parents because they do not know what is happening with their kids. The only contact they have is through social media or phone calls, WhatsApp, and what's not. But not that physical contact to ensure that hey, my child is okay. So for people who may not have any anxiety during in a regular time, when COVID-19 hit, their anxiety level may go up because they can't see their kids, and also the kids are very anxious because they can't go back home. And also the kids who stay at home, it would also depends on their internet access. Recently, we've been reading about cases in the East Malaysia, in Sabah and Sarawak, where some of the kids who have lack of internet access, they have to climb up trees to get internet access so they can get access to their online classroom. So one of the girl was saying that she had no choice but to camp out in the jungle, so climb up trees. And she said that she disappeared for about 3 days, and her mom at home was very, very worried about her. So, that sense of worry and the sense of uncertainty, especially when we look at the event that we know that uh, you see, we do not know when it's going to end. There's no certainty that okay, or maybe next week, or the year end is going to end. But we have no certainty that this is going to end. So the anxiety will keep on going up. It may come down when when we feel that things are improving, like the current situation in Malaysia. We feel that it's improving, so the anxiety level comes down, but it's going to go up again when the cases goes up. So a lot of anxiety, fears, and lots of worries. Yeah.
So, how can we actually eliminate that negativity from parents and students with all this? You were saying the sense of worry and uncertainty level is going to go high up. How do we balance it
Yeah.
out? What can we do to help students and parents to get away from this negativity? Or maybe not get away, but lessen the negativity in their lives.
Yeah, I guess if the kids have to stay away, probably there's no choice. They may need to stay closer to the university for internet access. But to have that constant contact to make sure that the kids are okay. And if the kids are staying at home with them, to have that interaction to make sure that everything is okay. Because I've got I'm taking some clients for therapy, and I've heard news that students, when they are left on their own, they have nothing much to do. They would go into internet, and then they start playing games, and then after that they get addicted, and they somehow the link between themselves and other people become looser. So what parents can do is to have that constant dialogue with their children. Of course, not too much, because then they going to get agitated because it's too much from parents. But also to have that some dialogue, some conversation with their kids, some family bonding. And also for the students, as I've told some of my students before, when they told me that they are very anxious about what is happening out there. So I told them that to make sure that you follow the regular schedule that you've been doing before COVID-19. If you have the specific study times, then you follow that specific study times, even though you're staying at home. So when you follow the regular routine, your anxiety level is not going to go that high up.
Okay. So, Dr. Kirin, maybe you can help us in understanding when it comes to social media and on the internet as well. Like Dr. Zuhrah said that, people or students are spending more time on their gadgets, on their mobile phones, internet and whatnot. Yes, they do have homeworks and they do have their um, classes that they have to attend to, but how does this affect them mentally when they are spending so much time on social media? Do you think that is a good thing, or it's something that we need at this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in terms of the research, what they stress more is not so much how much time students are spending on technology and social media, but why they're doing it. So sometimes it's exploring with them what the goals are in terms of why do they feel the need to be online all the time. So a big one, particularly with social media, there's kind of two. One of them is a desire to stay informed. And actually what we find is if you're constantly searching out information, that adds to the anxiety because there is so much information and the quality of that information can vary hugely. So what we recommend to people is if you're wanting an update on the number of cases in your local area, for example, or in your country, is pick one or two sources that you trust. So your local health agency and maybe like a global one, like the World Health Authority or something like that. Look at it for 5 or 10 minutes during the day, and then that's it. Because the more you're searching, it ends up you get all of this conflicting information. You don't know who to trust and how to weigh all of that. So just a small amount of information each day and then move away. And then the second one is staying in contact with their friends because, with COVID and the restrictions that are in place, social media might be the primary way in which people are staying up to date on what their friends are up to. There's a lot of social comparisons in like how well I'm coping compared to how well my friends are coping or those types of things. And so again, we might encourage people, well, what are other ways that you can get that? So, for example, arranging regular Zoom sessions, or is it that you're all watching Netflix? You're all at home, but you're connected through Zoom or Skype or something so that you're all watching the same thing and you can be commenting with each other. So it's brainstorming that, there's a reason why you're doing the behavior that you're doing. So let's understand that and then put what are some alternatives that might be better for you. In regards to the timing of it as well, there's certainly evidence in respects to being on screen in the evenings is problematic, and that can disrupt your sleep because your brain gets tricked into thinking that it's still daytime because it's getting all of this light in front of you. So broadly, we do give some guidelines around, with 2 to 3 hours before going to bed, you should try to minimize your screen time. And then it's thinking, well, if I'm not going to be on the screen, what am I going to be doing? So do people read books? Do they do some light exercise? Do they clean? Do they do something else? Because again, it's not fair to tell people you're not allowed to do this, but then not give them an alternative to use.
That's true. So what you're saying is that try not to get too much information as well because it can be detrimental to yourself because you put too much information and that's how I think paranoia or the anxiety becomes even higher, the level it alleviates, right? So for
Right.
Dr. Anna, perhaps you can, sorry?
I was going to say with an outlet like Facebook, you don't get there's no evaluation as to the quality of the information that's out there. It's just whatever anybody puts up. And that can lead people down a rabbit hole of getting incorrect information. So it's identify what's one or two sources who you trust and do that. Similarly with Facebook, I'm going to look at my friends' posts just to see how they're going, and I might say hi, but I'm going to avoid other types of posts.
Yes, and I think that is also part of the problem where people just take everything and not even doing their research or fact checking the whole news as it comes to them and start spreading it all over. But I think that one, you just have to know yourself better to not trust 100%. But like you said, get your sources, get your information from the right sources themselves. Okay, before I move on to the next question, which I would like to post it to Dr. Anna, we're going to take a short break, okay? Just a quick recap on what we talked about just now. At the end of the day, that we have to remember that to get to manage your psychological well-being, it is important for you to also look into your physical well-being itself, because it's important to have a whole holistic well-being, and we're talking about the emotional sense of it, physical, mental, and social, and many more, of course. And I like also that Dr. Kiran said that, if you do go out there and check on your social media and whatnot, try and do it during the day and minimize your screen time before you go to bed, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we get out of this 100% okay and mentally good as well. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more on the effects of COVID-19 have on our psychological well-being, especially to students and parents as well. So we'll be right back. You guys don't go away, and check this video out, all right?
Psychology brings us together.
Can we make a change in ourselves?
You need to understand how people think.
Psychology can affect every aspect of a person's mental health and life.
It helps us adapt and teaches us the ability to cope with overwhelming situations.
A lot of the questions that psychologists ask themselves is what they could do to facilitate a healthier society.
Can we change culture for the better?
What is it that makes each of us so unique? It's complex and there are so many variables.
We are discovering new things about how our brain works every day.
Heriot-Watt has opened my eyes to what is possible.
We always have to keep on researching and finding out whatever we don't know.
Learn from each other.
Making people understand that it's okay sometimes to feel the way they're feeling.
Just talk it through.
There are so many industries that benefit from psychology.
Business psychology, clinical psychology.
There's loads of opportunities.
We're all together in this world.
Psychology can really help you work together towards a better society.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Zuhrah. This is also the show called What's Up World, and we have very special guests from Dubai, from UK, and of course from Malaysia. Let me just reintroduce to you once again. We have Dr. Anna Sedda, Associate Professor in Psychology and Deputy Director of Learning and Teaching, School of Social Sciences, Heriot-Watt University, UK. And we also have Dr. Kirin Hilliar, Assistant Professor at the Psychology Department of the School of Social Sciences, Heriot-Watt University, Dubai. And last but not least, Dr. Zuhrah Beevi, Assistant Professor at the Psychology Department of the School of Social Sciences, Heriot-Watt University, Malaysia. Once again, thank you for joining us as we are talking about psychological effects of COVID-19 on students and parents. Now, this next question, for some weird reason, again, it's like the first question always goes to Dr. Anna. I'm sorry, but I don't know how it became that way. Okay, so coming back to the show, does Heriot-Watt universities have any resources to help students and their families through these trying times?
We do. We do have a lot of resources in all the different locations. So my colleagues will be able to have more information about the local resources. In the UK, I think what we need to mention is, of course, the Wellbeing services. We have a fantastic team of counselors, of dedicated people to helping the students. They can help with managing anxieties for the future. They can help with unforeseen medical circumstances. They can help also with caring for other people. So I'm particularly proud to say that Heriot-Watt has a policy for people who are carers. So imagine that you take care of your parents because they are affected by COVID. We can help. We have measures in place so that this, which is a wonderful act to do, does not affect your learning journey. So the well-being services are really the first thing that comes into my mind. But we have also other brilliant resources. We also have the career services, because I think one of the big worries that people have in relation to COVID is also about the future work opportunities. What do I do? Where do I go in a world which is changing? What if the job I thought was possible is not possible anymore? So I think the career service is brilliant for both students and parents, because they can provide up-to-date information on the job market. And the last resource that I would like to mention is all the staff at Heriot-Watt. We have a system at Heriot-Watt in place, which is personal tutoring. You, as a member of staff, are assigned a set of students that you accompany in their learning journey. So the students can get in touch with you, you can provide information, you can tell them where the resources are. So I think these three opportunities, well-being services, the career services, and the personal tutoring system that we have in place are excellent resources for the students directly and indirectly to reassure also the parents.
Wow, that is amazing. So what you're telling me is that even any students can come to the wonderful people at Heriot-Watt universities, as a matter in UK, Dubai, or Malaysia, they can come up to those people and tell them their problems, and they would also extend the help to the families themselves.
Yes, that's exactly it. So we are all connected. I think this is extremely important because to survive COVID, what we will need is community resilience. We are a community at Heriot-Watt, and these connections between students and staff are the basic bricks to build our resilient house.
Yeah, the community resilience is very, very important as well. So, when it comes to the universities getting ready to reopen, I mean, initially, obviously, universities, schools everywhere in the world not able to open; it was shut. But now that we have the green light to actually reopen everything, but during staggered timings, what are the reassurance or coping mechanisms can you offer the students and their families? Maybe Dr. Zuhrah can answer this question.
One coping mechanism is in a way to reduce stress and anxiety in regards to COVID itself. So the guidelines of wearing masks when they come to the university, the necessity of going through temperature check before they go to classes or before staff come into the university. In fact, in Heriot-Watt, Malaysia, it's so strict that even to borrow books in the library, you have to contact the librarian first, and they will process those books and give it to you. So there's not much contact. Sometimes when you go to the shelf, we tend to browse through books, so there's no much contact between persons to the books. But in terms of self preparation, I believe in relaxation techniques. And continuous relaxation techniques, for example, breathing exercises, because when we are in a state of fear, anxiety, our fight or flight response become heightened. Because of this, our blood pressure increases, our heart rate increases, and so on. So to reduce this, breathing exercises could help us to relax further. So this is something that I tend to teach my students in class, and also I tend to teach my clients for my therapy sessions. And if the relaxation exercises are constantly being done, on a daily basis, then for people, for students and staff to control that symptoms of anxiety would be much more easier. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that all these SOPs and what you have prepared for the students and families, I would think that the universities have it all the same, like in UK, in Dubai, and Malaysia. Is that right, Dr. Kirin? Or is there something extra a certain university in different country would do?
Well, I mean, primarily each campus is driven by directives from their local government. So it's not going to be the case that the same thing is going to happen across the three campuses, because each of us is working in very different environments. So I think it's important that our students understand that things are going to be different, and that is okay, and that is what's appropriate, because you've got to react to what's happening in your local area. And so I think what is important and what we will all be doing consistently across the 3 campuses. So hopefully students have been hearing about responsive blended learning that we're going to be doing, which is a combination of online and face-to-face work. Now, what that looks like in terms of that combination is going to be different for different courses, different degrees, and different campuses. But all of us are working with this consistent goal of we want our students' educational progression to continue, and we want their experience of the university life to still be engaging and informative and fun. And so every staff member is working very hard to work out what is going to be most appropriate for their students in light of the content that they are going to be exposing them to. And I think the other point in regard, sort of extending on what Zuhrah was saying, and what the university is doing across all of our campuses is communication with both students and parents. So certainly a big driver of anxiety is a sense of a lack of control. And what is so difficult about COVID is it does feel very uncontrollable and very unpredictable. It can feel random in terms of who gets it and who doesn't get it, when actually it's not random. When you look at the data, there's ways that we can trace that, but it feels very random for a lot of people. If someone gets it, what their physical response to the virus is different. And so that can be very difficult for people. So something we're very conscientious about is maintaining consistent communications with our students and their parents in regards to what is going to happen moving forward for their local campus. Because then we can start to identify, well, this is the stuff that's outside my control. I don't have control over what the government rules are. I don't have control over the virus. But what I do have control over are things like me wearing a mask, me maintaining social distancing has been required, how much I choose to engage in my online materials, how much prep I want to do before I go into my face-to-face sessions. I still have a lot of control over a lot of different elements of this, how well I take care of myself. So that's something that I think the university is doing a good job in trying to get that information out to students and their parents. And because then when you feel like, okay, I know what's going on, I know what's going to happen when I get onto campus, or how much I'm going to be on campus compared to other people, I know what my classes are going to look like moving forward, then that's going to be really helpful.
One thing I've noticed, talking to a lot of people from Heriot-Watt University, yourselves, like every time you tell me that it's always about the students. So remember that everything they do, it's all about the students' well-being. It's about how they can move forward and become a better students in campus and even outside, and how they can impact the world eventually after they graduate. So before I let all of you go, perhaps maybe I could get each and every one of you to give a word of advice to the students and parents as well on how to deal with themselves during these trying times. Maybe let's start with Dr. Anna again. Lucky contestant number one.
Thank you. So I think my word of advice is to listen and reflect. I think that listening to each other, what we really are saying, will be the key to move on from the current situation. And the other part of listening is pausing and reflecting on what you hear. Immediate, like impulsive reactions, getting angry, that's not good, because sometimes we misinterpret messages. So if we listen, we pause and reflect, we make it, because this is not the first, not the last challenge that we will see as human beings. But we can adjust, we can adapt, and we make it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kieran.
So my advice that I would give to our students is give it a go. responsive blended learning is going to be different to either what they experienced if they were at university prior to COVID hitting, or it's going to be different to what their expectations were if they're coming in and they haven't been at university before. But a lot of psychology research shows that the mindset that you go into approaching something new is going to have a big impact on your experience of that. So if you are open to it, if you feel like, let's see how this goes and let's see what I like and what works, but I'm going to give it as much of a chance as I can, then that's going to have a big impact on how much you enjoy that, and to give us feedback on what you are liking and what you're maybe not enjoying so much, because we are devising this based on as much information as we have, but also a lot of this is new for the staff members as well. And it's really important for us to be getting feedback from our students around what works for them so that we can adapt accordingly with that. So go into it excited and as enthusiastic as you can, because it is exciting seeing what new developments and ideas are going to come from this very unique situation that we're facing.
Totally agree. The mindset and just go for it. Or just do it. Don't think too much about it. Okay, Dr. Zuhrah, what would your advice be?
I would say keep calm, keep informed, no fake news. Embrace change. A lot of people, they still want to stick to the old ones, the ones that they used to do. But I feel that now we have to let go of what we used to do, because things are moving into the new normal, and look at it as something which is exciting, something new, going into that unknown territory, and make it exciting. Rather than dragging our feet and keep on saying that I'm not going to like it, I'm not going to love whatever that is going to happen. Yeah.
Thank you so much to all the wonderful doctors here in the house. All of you have been very, very awesome. And I hope our viewers, the parents, and even students have gleaned some very useful and informative information from all of you. I really appreciate the time and your word of advice as well. And it's definitely very valuable, not just to me, but I'm sure to everybody as well. So as a recap, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, remember to just go for it, have an open mind, go out there and seize the world. And at the same time, do not forget to communicate, because that is the key to making sure that you have a good mental well-being, and of course, physical well-being as well, because it has to go hand in hand. And at the same time, always give feedback to not just your family and friends, communicating in that sense, but of course, like Dr. Kirin said, to the staff members as well, so that everybody is in the loop into what is going on, especially during these trying times. Well, we have come to the end of the show. Once again, Dr. Anna, Dr. Kirin, and Dr. Zuhrah, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for everything, and
Thank
for
you.
who are watching us right now. You're most welcome. Don't forget, we'll be having our grand finale very, very soon. Make sure you tune in, because I can assure you it's going to be different. It's going to be very, very special. So be sure to keep yourself locked into Heriot-Watt University Malaysia's Facebook, but not too much. Like Dr. Kieran said, make sure you have just enough information to get you through the day, because too much information will make you go crazy. So we want to do that. Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the show. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode of What's Up World. Bye. Thank you, Dr. Anna. Thank you, Dr. Kirin, Dr. Zuhrah.